This video is about the mom walked into the city square and a rich stranger bought her coffee. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The sun hung low in the afternoon sky, casting a warm golden hue over the city square. It was a bustling scene, filled with the laughter of children, the chatter of couples, and the rhythmic tapping of heels against cobblestones. Among them was Claire, a single mother of two, carrying the weight of her world in the form of a heavy tote bag slung over her shoulder. Her dark hair, once vibrant and lively, now had strands of grey peeking through, a testament to sleepless nights spent worrying about bills and raising her children alone. Claire paused at the center of the square, catching her breath as she watched her kids play tag with the other children. Their giggles were like balm to her weary soul. A small smile graced her lips, but it quickly faded as she glanced at her phone, the screen lighting up with reminder notifications for overdue bills and work deadlines. The smile vanished, replaced by a frown of frustration. "Mom, look," shouted Max, her youngest, his eyes shining with excitement as he raced toward her, his cheeks flushed from running. Claire's heart swelled with love and a pang of guilt. She wanted nothing more than to give him a carefree childhood, yet life had other plans. "That's great, sweetie, just be careful, okay?" she replied, forcing a bright tone into her voice. Max nodded enthusiastically and dashed back to his friends. She watched him with a mix of pride and sorrow. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was somehow letting him down. As she turned her attention back to the crowd, a sudden movement caught her eye. A tall figure stood at the edge of the square, his silhouette striking against the backdrop of the setting sun. Dressed in a sharp, tailored suit, he radiated an air of confidence that seemed almost out of place in the casual atmosphere around her. Claire studied him, curiosity piqued. His dark hair was tousled just enough to suggest a certain charm, and as he scanned the area, his gaze landed on her for a brief moment. There was something magnetic about his presence. She quickly looked away, her cheeks warming slightly as she tried to push aside the flutter of attraction that stirred within her. "Hey, Mom," called Ella, her teenage daughter, snapping Claire out of her thoughts. "Can we get some coffee, please?" Ella had inherited Claire's dark hair and bright eyes, but she wore her confidence like armor, often venturing into the world with an audacity that made Claire both proud and apprehensive. "Sure, sweetheart, just give me a minute," Claire replied, eyeing the coffee stand across the square. She felt a sudden weight of exhaustion settle on her shoulders. Coffee sounded great, but she didn't want to spend her last few dollars on something so trivial. As they walked toward the stand, Claire felt the stranger's gaze on her again. This time, she dared to look back, and their eyes met. There was a flicker of recognition, something that felt deeper than just a passing glance. The stranger smiled, and her heart raced despite herself. "2 coffees, please," Ella said, stepping up to the counter, her voice breaking the tension that hung in the air. Claire realized she was still standing there, lost in the stranger's gaze. She quickly took a breath and turned back to her daughter. "Make sure to get some cream," Claire instructed, trying to focus on Ella's order, but her thoughts kept wandering back to the man. "Mom, are you okay?" Ella asked, a curious glint in her eye. "You seem distracted." "I am fine, just tired," Claire replied, forcing a smile. "How about you? Anything exciting happen at school today?" Ella began sharing a story about a school project, and Claire nodded along, but she couldn't shake her awareness of the stranger lingering at the edge of her thoughts. He approached the coffee stand, his deep voice resonating as he ordered a drink. Claire caught snippets of his conversation, and she felt an inexplicable pull toward him. "Just the usual, thanks," he said, his voice smooth like silk. Claire's heart raced. She could feel the energy around them shift, a palpable tension that seemed to ignite the air. When the barista turned to prepare the drinks, the man glanced at Claire and said, "You must be a coffee aficionado, judging by how you rang that stand." She blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Though, she stammered, unsure of how to respond. "I really need a pick-me-up." He smiled, the kind of smile that made her heart flutter. "Don't real, I am Marcus, by the way." He extended his hand. "Claire," she replied, shaking his hand. The moment their palms touched, a surge of electricity coursed through her, startling her. She quickly pulled her hand back, heat rising to her cheeks. Marcus's eyes glinted with amusement, as if he could sense her embarrassment. "Nice to meet you, Claire. You look like you could use a good coffee. I'd be happy to buy you one if you'd let me." The offer hung in the air, sweet and tempting. Claire hesitated, her mind racing. She didn't want to appear desperate or somehow obligating him. "Oh, that is really nice of you, but I can get my own." considered a gesture of goodwill. He insisted, a playful challenge dancing in his eyes. I promise I one tea bite. Claire chuckled, her initial reluctance wavering. She felt a flicker of excitement that was both thrilling and terrifying. A brief flash of guilt crossed her mind as she shouldn't let herself get swept away in this moment when she had responsibilities to think of. But then again, maybe just this once wouldn't he her? All right then, she finally said, her voice steadier than she felt. I'll take you up on that. Marcus grinned widely as he motioned for her to step closer to the counter. What is your poison? Just a black coffee, please, she replied, feeling a sense of exhilaration bubbling within her. Ella finished her order and turned to them, her eyebrows raised in surprise. Mom, are you getting coffee from a stranger? Ella asked, half joking but with a hint of concern. Claire shot her a reassuring smile. Just a kind gesture, darling. Nothing to worry about, Claire said, her heart skipping in response to Marcus's amused expression. Ella rolled her eyes, but Claire could see the hint of a smile creeping onto her lips. Okay, just making sure you're not going to vanish into thin air. Trust me, I am not going anywhere, Marcus chimed in, meeting Claire's eyes. Claire felt heat rising to her cheeks again, an undeniable chemistry simmering between them. As their coffees were prepared, Claire felt a rush of nerves mixed with excitement. She was aware that this moment was fleeting, the brief escape from the routine of her life, but it felt refreshing nonetheless. She hadn't had a conversation like this in ages, one that sparked intrigue and piqued her interest. Are you from around here? Marcus asked, turning the conversation back to her as they waited for their drinks. Yeah, I grew up here, Claire replied, her tone shifting to a mixture of nostalgia and melancholy. But life has a way of changing things, you know? I know exactly what you mean, Marcus replied, his voice softening. Life tends to throw us curveballs. She hesitated, unsure if she wanted to share more. Her past was complicated, full of heartaches and struggles that she often hid from others. Instead, she opted for a light-hearted response. Well, I am just trying to keep up with the kids. They're the real adventure. Kids have a way of keeping us young, he said, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. Or at least, they try. How many do you have? 2. Max is 8 and Ella is 16, Claire said, pride evident in her voice. Busy age range, he noted, a hint of admiration in his tone. You must be a superhero. Before she could respond, the barista called out their orders. Claire grabbed her coffee, feeling the warmth seep into her palms, grounding her amidst the whirlwind of emotions. Thanks for the coffee, Marcus, she said, a smile breaking across her face. Anytime, Claire, he replied, his eyes lingering on hers. The moment stretched, filled with unspoken words and simmering tension. Claire felt her heart race again, the attraction undeniable. As they stood there, surrounded by the bustle of the square, Claire couldn't help but wonder what life would be like if she let herself explore this connection. But the reality of her responsibilities loomed large, reminding her that this was just a fleeting moment, a brief encounter in a life filled with obligations. Mom, let us go. Max called out, bounding toward them with boundless energy. Claire turned to her son, the warmth of the moment ebbing as she remembered where she was. Coming, she replied, giving Marcus a quick smile before she turned her attention back to her children. Maybe I'll see you around? Marcus called after her, his voice warm and inviting. Maybe, Claire replied, glancing back for a moment, her heart fluttering. With that, she walked away, the weight of reality settling back onto her shoulders, but a flicker of hope. As Claire walked away from the coffee stand, the warmth of the cup in her hands felt like a reminder of the moment she'd just shared with Marcus. Her mind spun with thoughts of their brief encounter, excitement mingling with trepidation. She glanced back one more time, but Marcus was already lost in conversation with another passerby. Mom, can we go get ice cream now? Max tugged at her sleeve, his bright eyes wide with enthusiasm. Claire tried to shake off the lingering emotions and focused on her children. Sure, buddy, ice cream it is. The thought of the creamy treat brought a smile to her face, and she felt a wave of guilt wash over her. Marcus was just a stranger, a fleeting connection, yet his warm smile and engaging demeanor had stirred something deep within her. As they made their way toward the ice cream shop, Claire couldn't help but replay their conversation in her mind. He seemed genuine, and the chemistry between them had been undeniable. But could she really entertain the idea of dating again? The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Mom, are you even listening? Ella's voice broke through her thoughts, her tone teasing. Claire turned to her daughter, who was watching her with a bemused expression. Of course, sweetie, just thinking about flavors, Claire replied quickly, hoping to deflect. Aha, thinking about flavors or thinking about Mr. Tall and Handsome? Ella raised an eyebrow, a knowing smirk playing on her lips. Ella? Claire's cheeks flushed. It was just a conversation, a polite exchange, nothing more. She felt a flutter of embarrassment. Come on, Mom. Just because you're a single mom doesn't mean you can't have fun or flirt a little. You deserve it, Ella said, her voice full of encouragement. I know, but... Claire started, but the truth was she wasn't sure where to begin. She pushed the thought away, not wanting to delve too deep in front of her kids. They reached the ice cream shop, a quaint little place adorned with pastel colors and the tantalizing aroma of waffle cones wafting through the air. As they stood in line, Claire's mind still wandered back to Marcus and the way Edie looked at her. It was a long time since someone had made her feel that way. Mom, you were daydreaming again. What do you want? Ella asked, snapping Claire back to reality. Just a scoop of vanilla, please, Claire replied, shaking off her thoughts. What about you, Max? Chocolate chip cookie dough, she exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. As they waited for their orders, Claire felt a sudden pang of guilt wash over her. She loved her children fiercely, but a part of her longed for connection beyond motherhood. The responsibilities were heavy, and the loneliness often crept in like a shadow. Mom, I think you should text that guy, Ella said suddenly, catching Claire off guard. What? No, I can't do that, Claire exclaimed, feeling the heat rise to her cheeks again. Why not? You talk to him. He is cute, and he bought you coffee, Ella said, her enthusiasm unwavering. Because it is complicated, Ella. I am a mom, and I have responsibilities. I can't just chase after some guy, Claire replied, her voice laced with frustration. Why not? You deserve a little fun. You were so serious all the time, Ella insisted, her tone turning a bit more serious. It has been forever since you've gone out with someone. Claire opened her mouth to argue but could only manage a half-hearted sigh. You were right, but it is not that simple. Dating is a whole different world now. Mom, you won't know unless you try, Ella said softly, her expression turning earnest. Just then their ice cream orders were ready and Claire felt grateful for the distraction. She took the cones and handed one to Max, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Let us sit down over there, she suggested, pointing to a nearby bench. As they settled down, Claire stirred her ice cream, the sweet taste melting in her mouth, but her mind still drifted. What if he is just being nice? What if he is not interested? Claire mumbled under her breath, more to herself than to her children. Then you just move on. It is not that big of a deal, Ella shrugged, licking her cone. At least you talked to someone. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the square, Claire felt a sense of longing. Could she really step out of her comfort zone and explore this connection? The thought of texting Marcus danced around in her mind. But what would she even say? Hey, I enjoyed our brief conversation while I was with my kids. Mom, you were quiet again, earthed to Claire. Ella teased, snapping her fingers in front of her mother's face. Claire chuckled despite herself. Sorry, just lost in thought. You were still thinking about Mr. Tall, aren't you? Max chimed in, giggling. No, I mean, not really, Claire stuttered, a smile creeping onto her face. Whatever you say. Ella laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. As they finished their ice cream, Claire's heart raced. There was a part of her that wanted to reach out to Marcus, test the waters. But another part, one that had been shaped by years of responsibility, held her back. Okay, Mom, just promise me you'll at least consider it, Ella said, nudging her playfully. I promise, Claire said, her voice soft yet determined. As they walked back toward the city square, Claire felt an unshakable tension within her, blending hope and fear. She couldn't ignore the connection she felt with Marcus, nor could she ignore the life waiting for her at home. Are you guys ready to head home? They asked, feeling the weight of the day settling in. Yeah, Max said, holding Ella's hand as they walked slowly. But as they neared the exit of the square, Claire caught sight of Marcus again, standing a few paces away, surrounded by a group of friends. He laughed heartily, the sound resonating in the air, sending a warm flutter through her stomach. Mom, there he is, Ella whispered, a teasing glint in her eye. SHHH, Claire hissed, but her heart raced as she turned her head, unable to tear her gaze from him. Something compelled her to take a step closer, but before she could take the plunge, Max called out, Hey, Mom, can we go home? I am tired. The moment was lost. Claire felt the air thicken with disappointment, and as she turned to head back, she felt a rush of frustration. Why did she let her responsibilities dictate her actions? Hey, Claire. Marcus's voice cut through the chatter, and she froze. He had spotted her. "Ah, hey," she managed to reply, her heart pounding. "I was just about to ask if you wanted to join us," he said, his smile genuine and inviting. Claire glanced at Ella, who was beaming at her, then back at Marcus. A mix of excitement and fear coursed through her veins. "I'll. Come on, it'll all be fun," Marcus urged, taking a step closer, the space between them shrinking. With a glance at her children, Claire felt the burden of decision weighing heavy on her heart. The possibilities of what could unfold hung in the air, deliciously enticing yet frightening. "Just for a little while?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Just for a little while," Marcus echoed, that teasing glimmer still in his eyes, making her heart race. Taking a breath, Claire felt the pull of adventure beckon her, tugging at her heart to embrace the unknown. "All right then, let's do it," she said, and the moment felt electric as they moved closer together, stepping into the next chapter of their story. As Claire stepped into the circle of Marcus's friends, she felt a strange mix of apprehension and exhilaration. The camaraderie among them was palpable, laughter ringing out like music in the evening air. She couldn't help but feel a bit like an outsider, yet Marcus's warm presence anchored her as he introduced her. "Everyone, this is Claire," he said, gesturing toward her with an easy smile. "She is a local hero, raising 2 amazing kids." "Really?" A woman with bright red hair and a friendly smile chimed in. "You must have superhero powers to manage that." Claire chuckled, feeling a warmth seep into her cheeks. "I think they read the real superheroes, keeping me on my toes." "Mommy has got jokes," Ella whispered from her spot beside Claire, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Claire shot her a sideways glance, grateful for her daughter's support yet keenly aware of the teasing undertone. "Kids, huh?" Marcus said, leaning closer to Claire. "What ages are we talking about?" "Max is 8 and Ella is 16, she replied, feeling the weight of her role as a mother creeping back in. "So, quite the range." "Big age gap," Marcus noted, his eyes softening. "I bet you have your hands full." "Every day," Claire admitted, a small laugh escaping her. "But they make it all worth it." As the conversation flowed, Marcus seamlessly interwove himself into the group, making her feel more at ease. They bantered back and forth, and she was surprised at how easily the tension melted away. She found herself leaning into his charm, the way he listened intently when she spoke and shared stories that made her laugh. "So, Claire," the tall man with dark hair interrupted, his voice slightly teasing, "what is your secret? How do you keep up with the kids and still look this good?" Claire's heart raced at the compliment, and she felt the warmth of Marcus's gaze on her. "Coffee and sheer willpower. Mostly," she joked, earning a round of laughter from the group. "Good combo," the man replied, winking at her. Marcus leaned in slightly closer to Claire, his shoulder brushing against hers. "Don't let him fool you. He is just jealous because I am the one who bought you coffee." Their eyes locked, and Claire felt her breath catch. It wasn't just the flirting that sent shivers down her spine, it was the way he looked at her like she was more than just a mother, like she had depth and stories to tell. "I bet you buy coffee for all the pretty girls," she teased back, a playful smile on her lips. "Only the ones who catch my eye, like you," he replied, his voice low and sincere, yet playful enough to keep the mood light. Just then, Max reappeared, dragging Ella along behind him. "Mom, we going to play a game," he announced, his energy infectious. "Okay, buddy, just don't wander too far," Claire said, her protective instincts flaring up. "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him," Ella assured, her tone playful but with a hint of responsibility. Claire smiled, grateful for her daughter's maturity. Once the kids dashed off, Claire turned back to Marcus, feeling a sudden pang of guilt for her momentary distraction. "You're very good with people," she said, trying to steer the conversation back to the group. "Well, I try," he said, tilting his head slightly. "But it is easier when I am around someone interesting." The compliment hung in the air, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Claire felt herself blush again, but the sound of laughter brought her back to the moment. "What do you do when you're not charming strangers at coffee stands?" "I work in marketing," he replied, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. "But I also dabble in photography. Capturing moments is a passion of mine." "Photography? That is amazing," Claire said, genuinely interested. "What do you like to photograph?" "People, mostly," Marcus said, his gaze steady on hers. "Their stories, their emotions, it is fascinating how a single moment can convey so much." Claire felt a shiver of recognition at that. "I understand that," she whispered, thinking about her own life, the chaos, the love, the struggle. "Maybe I could take some photos of you someday," Marcus suggested, his voice dropping to a softer tone. "You have a certain depth to you." Claire's breath quickened, and she quickly diverted her gaze, trying to hide her growing fluster. "Oh, I am just a regular mom." "Exactly. Regular moms are the unsung heroes," he countered, his words sincere. Before she could respond, another friend chimed in, pulling Claire back into the lively atmosphere. They played games and shared stories, and Claire felt the weight of her responsibilities lift, if only for a little while. Yet, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an orange hue over the square, her mind wandered back to the life waiting for her at home. She loved her children fiercely, but somewhere deep inside, she yearned for connection beyond motherhood. "Claire, would you join us for a photo?" The red-haired woman beckoned her over, excitement lighting up her face. "Oh, I don't see Noah." Claire hesitated, glancing nervously at Marcus, who was watching her with an encouraging smile. "Come on, it'll be fun," he urged, his blue eyes sparkling. Taking a deep breath, Claire stepped forward. "All right, let us do this." As they posed, laughter erupted around them, and in that moment Claire felt a flicker of the old her, the spontaneous, free-spirited woman who once danced in the rain and chased dreams. The camera clicked, capturing not just the image but the essence of the moment. "See, you look amazing," Marcus said as they gathered back around. "Thanks," she replied, her heart swelling. But as the evening wore on, Claire began to feel the familiar weight of responsibility pressing in again. "I should probably get going soon," she said reluctantly, glancing at her phone. "Already?" Marcus asked, his expression shifting to one of disappointment. "I have to get the kids home," she replied, a slight pang of regret lacing her words. "It's getting late." "Let me walk you to your car," he offered, stepping closer, his presence comforting yet electrifying. Claire hesitated, glancing over at her kids who were engrossed in their playful antics. "I don't want to interrupt their fun," she said, biting her lip. "Let them have their moments. Besides, I'd like to get to know you better," he replied, his tone inviting. With a small smile, Claire nodded. "Okay, let us go." As they left the bustling square, the sounds of laughter faded behind them, replaced by the soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. The air felt charged between them, a tension simmering just beneath the surface. "So, Claire," Marcus said, his voice slow as they walked side by side. "What is the best part of being a mom?" She thought for a moment, struck by the sincerity of his question. "It's the little moments," she said slowly. "The laughter, the hugs, the times when I see them just being kids. It reminds me of the simple joy." "That sounds beautiful," he said, genuinely intrigued. "What is the hardest part?" Claire hesitated, the weight of her truth pressing down on her. "Balancing it all, I guess. There are days I feel like I am failing them," she admitted, her vulnerability surfacing. He stopped walking for a moment, turning to face her. "You're really not failing, Claire. Just the fact that you care so much makes you a great mom," he said softly, his eyes searching hers. Her breath caught as she looked into his gaze, feeling the sincerity of his words wash over her like a wave. "Thank you," she whispered, warmth flooding her cheeks. They resumed walking, but the atmosphere shifted. It felt more intimate, like they were cocooned in their own world. "So, what about you?" Claire asked, trying to steer the conversation back. "What keeps you up at night?" Marcus chuckled softly. "The usual work, dreams, and the occasional existential crisis, but mostly, I just want to capture the world around me." As they approached her car, Claire felt a rush of nerves. "Well, I guess this is it," she said, glancing at the vehicle. "Thank you for tonight. It was unexpected, but really nice." "I am glad you came," Marcus said, stepping closer again. "I enjoyed our conversations." "Me too," Claire admitted, her heart racing. "Can I have your number?" The request slipped out easily, yet the air thickened with unspoken tension. Claire felt a wave of hesitation. I don't know if that is a good idea." "Why not?" His expression softened, and he took a small step back. "I am not asking for a commitment, just the chance to continue this." She felt the flutter of her pulse, the excitement of connection battling with her fears. Claire hesitated, her hand brushing against the cool metal of her car as Marcus watched her with those penetrating blue eyes. They seemed to hold galaxies of possibility, but her heart felt tethered by the weight of her responsibilities. "I just don't want to confuse things," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I have my kids to think about. I can't just dive into something new." Marcus nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I understand, but what if this isn't about confusing things? What if it is just about getting to know someone new?" Claire swallowed hard, feeling the tension in her chest tighten. She wanted to believe him, to let herself believe that this could be something light and fun rather than a complicated entanglement. It has been so long since I've even thought about dating, she confessed, her vulnerability spilling forth. Long enough that you deserve a little fun, don't you think? Marcus replied gently, his tone coaxing. And it's not like I am asking for commitment, just a chance to see if there is something here. She looked at him, searching for any hint of insincerity, but all she found was sincerity wrapped in a charming smile. I don't know, Marcus, what if I fall for you? Then you fall, he said simply, a playful glimmer in his eyes. Life is too short for what-ifs. Claire's heart raced as the playful banter hung between them, a palpable spark igniting the air. She imagined a whirlwind romance, the excitement of stolen moments, laughter, and adventure. But then her mind flashed to the mundane reality of dinner prep, homework, and sleepless nights. See, you were overthinking it again. He stepped closer, his voice slow and inviting. Just give me a chance to prove that I am not just some charming stranger. I am a real person who is genuinely interested. She hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. What would you even do with my number? Let us see. We could chat, maybe go for coffee again. I can show you my favorite spots in the city. You know, those places that aren't just about coffee where they have the best pastries, too, he suggested with a playful grin. Oh, pastries, Claire replied, a smile creeping onto her lips. Now you be speaking my language. See, he said, leaning in just a bit more. How about you give me your number, and we keep it casual. If it doesn't feel right, we can just part ways. No harm done. Claire weighed his words, her mind spinning. He was charming, genuine, and everything about him drew her in. But the doubt crept back, whispering that this was a dangerous step, one that could lead to heartbreak or, worse, distract her from her children. Okay, but as she started, her gaze darting to her watch, realizing the time had slipped away faster than she anticipated. I need to get back to the kids now. Of course, he said, the understanding in his voice easing some of her tension. Just let me know when you're ready to take that leap. Ready to take a leap, she echoed, shaking her head softly as a smile tugged at her lips. You make it sound so simple. Sometimes it is, just like that first step, he replied, his gaze unwavering. Claire took a deep breath, feeling the weight of indecision settle back into her chest. Okay, fine, I'll think about it, she said, retreating slightly from the moment. Thinking is good, Marcus replied, his voice light as he stepped back, giving her some space. You just remember my offer stands. Claire nodded, feeling a tingle of excitement rush through her. Thanks for everything, Marcus. I really did enjoy tonight. Me too, Claire, he said, his smile lingering as he leaned against her car. I'll be waiting for that text. She climbed into her car, her heart racing as she waved goodbye. As she drove away, Claire felt an array of emotions flooding her senses, hope, excitement, and fear intermingled, creating a melody of what is in her mind. Arriving home, the familiar sounds of her children's laughter filled the air, grounding her back into reality. She parked the car and took a moment to breathe. The chaos of the day settled into a quiet rhythm, and she felt her heart thud in her chest as she stepped inside. Mom, we're replaying charades. Max shouted, racing toward her with a bright smile. Sounds fun, Claire replied, forcing a smile as she joined them in the living room. Elle was sprawled on the floor, her phone cast aside as she animatedly acted out a character, her laughter infectious. Okay, Mom, your turn. Ella called out excitedly, eager to pull her back into family fun. Claire hesitated, and as she caught her son's eager expression, she realized she needed to let go of the evening's tension. All right, let us see what I can do. The game unfolded, laughter and cheers resonating through the house as Claire learned to let loose. She threw herself into the game, acting out ridiculous scenarios, and felt herself melt into the joy of the moment. But amid the laughter, her mind flickered back to Marcus, the way he had looked at her, his playful banter, and the thrill of possibility that lingered. Later that night, as she tucked Max into bed, she felt a pang of yearning for a connection beyond the walls of motherhood. Mom. Max asked sleepily, his eyes barely open. Can I have a bedtime story? Of course, buddy, Claire replied, her heart swelling as she sat beside him. She opened a storybook, her voice soft as she read, but her thoughts began to drift. What would it be like to share moments like this with someone who saw her for more than just a mom? The thought sent shivers down her spine, a mix of excitement and fear wrapped tightly together. After saying goodnight, Claire walked into her room, feeling the weight of the day settle in. She picked up her phone, staring at the blank screen, her heart racing as she contemplated sending a message to Marcus. Hey, it is me. I had a great time tonight. The words echoed in her mind, yet the hesitation held her back. What if this was the wrong choice? Just then, a message notification lit up her screen. Claire, just wanted to say I enjoyed the evening. Hope your kids are tucked in tight. Her heart soared, and she found herself grinning at the text. Thanks, Marcus, they are. Had a fun night. Good to hear. Let us do it again sometime. Claire could feel the heat creeping into her cheeks, a flutter of excitement igniting within her. She tapped back, I do like that. As she hit send, a rush of exhilaration surged through her. The leap of faith didn't feel so daunting anymore, it felt exhilarating, like a new chapter was beginning to unfold. For the first time in a long while, Claire felt the weight of her responsibilities lift just a little as she stared at the screen, waiting for his reply. Maybe life has a way of surprising us, she thought, a smile spreading across her face as she settled into bed, excitement buzzing in her veins. In that moment, Claire felt a flicker of hope, a spark igniting a path toward what might be. She closed her eyes, unable to shake the feeling that something beautiful was just around the corner. And for the first time, she allowed herself to dream.